Young waitress Sarah Connor is living her life in 1984 when a man and a cybernetic organism from the 21st century are sent back in time, one to kill her and one to try to save her. I was way too young the first time that I saw The Terminator. I'd say I was about 6 years old. My dad had rented it and I watched it with him. To this day, I still have nightmares on occasion that the Terminator is coming after me. It's probably because of seeing this at such a young age that I find this to be one of the best action, science fiction, and horror films ever made. James Cameron is one of the few people in Hollywood who can literally do it all. He started as a special effects artist and eventually stumbled into directing when the original director of Piranha 2 quit and he was given the job. Shortly after, he had a dream about an invincible robot man from the future who was sent back in time to kill him. Cameron took this dream and turned it into an iconic movie that spawned an entire franchise and was the breakout role for Arnold Schwarzenegger, who became one of the biggest action stars of all time. It is clear that The Terminator is a low-budget movie, but it is also clear that James Cameron knew how to use every single one of the dollars of that budget. With his artistic background and special effects know-how, he was able to craft some killer practical effects, animatronics, and iconic props. The look of the Terminator's robotic core all came from Cameron's head. I don't think it's possible to go into this movie completely blind, as the character of the Terminator is so iconic. But at the beginning, once we see Schwarzenegger's Terminator and Michael Bihn's Kyle Reese appear in the present day, they both follow the same path. They show up naked, they have to steal some clothes, they have to run from the cops, and they have to look for Sarah Connor, portrayed by Linda Hamilton. At this point, we don't know who the good guy is and who the bad guy is. We don't even know if there is a good guy and a bad guy at this point. And we don't know that one of these guys isn't human. The way these future men track down Sarah Connor is pretty smart, and as the movie progresses, every step and misstep of the characters makes perfect sense. We get 3 separate scenes of a finger looking down the C last names in the phone book, one of Schwarzenegger, one of Michael Biehn, and one of Linda Hamilton. I don't know why I found this amusing. I think just showing it once would have gotten the point across. Now it quickly becomes clear that these future dudes do not know what Sarah Connor looks like, and it isn't clear to us why they are looking for her in the first place. We see the Terminator do what he does best, terminate people, and while the movie leaves a lot of the gore up to your imagination, it is still terrifying to watch these murders take place. Hey look, it's a young Bill Paxton with tire tread on his face. Sarah Connor is just an every woman, works at a diner, has a roommate, likes going out on dates. She is so wholesome that she talks to the big boy statue outside of her restaurant every day and asks it to watch her moped. Now the Terminator hits the ground running and suspense builds steadily over an hour and 45 minutes. The pacing in this is nearly perfect. Every few minutes we see what the Terminator is capable of, and then we get a minute to breathe. Arnold Schwarzenegger has never played a better character, and even in Terminator 2 and Terminator 3 and the more recent Terminator films, that character is never quite as intimidating or scary again. To me personally, this is more of a horror movie than anything else, but that may be my nostalgia early brain being scarred for watching this when I was 6 years old that thinks that. I just can't imagine anything scarier than being hunted by an unstoppable being from the future that cannot be reasoned with. The movie is also science fiction. The time travel logic is explained in a couple of exposition scenes, mostly of Michael Biehn yelling at police officers about him being from the future, and it makes sense in the context of the movie. And we do get a few good scenes of that future, way in the future. 2029. There's also a lot of action scenes. There are multiple car chases and shootouts throughout the movie. There's really never a dull moment, and the score fits perfectly to the movie's tone. It's industrial and cyberpunky. Now in the movie, Sarah Connor visits a club called Tech Noir, which is the most 80s punk club ever. Now the name of that club perfectly sums up my feeling of the movie genre. It's like a noir film and full of great technology that today feels both dated and futuristic. Watching this today with the knowledge of what James Cameron becomes is almost its own form of time travel. Seeing this unknown and unproven director bring his nightmarish vision to life before directing the 2 highest grossing films of all time really puts a smile on my face. Now of course, after The Terminator, Cameron went on to direct Aliens, the action movie sequel to the horror film Alien. And then in 1991 he made an action movie sequel to his horror film The Terminator called Terminator 2 Judgment Day. And watching The Terminator today, I realized how many shots and sequences from the original movie made it into Terminator 2. And I can see an argument for either The Terminator or Terminator 2 being the better of the 2 films. Now seeing what a scrappy young filmmaker with no money and something to prove can make versus seeing that same director on top of his game with an unlimited budget are both exciting and thrilling to watch. Approaching a group of punks in your birthday suit, getting ready for a date, hoping you don't pass this guy on the street, making bombs with a guy you just met, using a payphone, visiting a police station after hours.